All right, guys, we're going to be talking about Game 5, NBA Finals, OKC versus the Pacers. We're going to go ahead and preview that for you guys. Man, this is the most important Thunder game. And honestly, this is the most important Pacer game for Pacers fans as well for a long time. For them, even longer than us. We haven't been back in a while. I don't think they've been back since 2004, even the 2000s. So it's been plenty long for both teams to have the opportunity to really take control of the series. We definitely thought like the Thunder had a must-win game scenario because you can't go down 3-1. But in this case, both teams just have a 50-50 opportunity. Whoever wins this game is winning this series. We said that about last game.
Yep.
But this game is even more so because the series is tied. If Indiana wins here, they can go home after this and close it out. If OKC wins here, they can have a chance to just have to win 50% of the games after that. So both teams have the most to lose in this case. It's a swing game, man. This is kind of the moment where champions take control, man. So what are your predictions for this game?
Well, I want to kind of go back to Game 4 real fast before I get to that.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, my analysis of Game 4, OKC played awful for the first 3 quarters, man. Damn near first 3.5 quarters. Like, the Pacers, as good as the Pacers were playing, it was like you could take a deep breath because they were outplaying us, but they weren't up the amount that they should have been. They might have been up 6, 7, 10 points, but they probably should have been up 18. They weren't. OKC showed some resiliency. OKC came back. They found an action late in the game. Let J-Dub initiate the offense. Let Shai screen J-Dub to get a switch to Naismith on him. And let your best player ISO and get a bucket with a worse defender on him. And he did. He got to the line. OKC hung their head on their defense, and they won. They executed, or they out-executed and outplayed a really good clutch team down the stretch of an NBA Finals game on the road. They did it. That's kudos to them. Now, tomorrow, Monday night, is no guarantee, right? It's not a guarantee that OKC wins this game. And if OKC plays as bad as they did the other night, they have a really good chance, a high chance of losing. But the good thing is they're at home. Role players play better at home. OKC in general plays better at home. And this is I'm sure, obviously, of course, they know how important this game is, which is why I don't think they'll F it off. But, I mean, in my opinion, I expect the game for my preview. I expect it to be close. And then I think OKC goes on a fourth quarter avalanche to win the game by 12, 14 plus. That's me.
I mean, that's a fair assumption that can happen. We could have another bad shooting night and have to rely on defense. That's another possibility.
It could happen.
Charles Barkley declared the series over. And Vegas, the spread right now is -9.5. The money line is -425 to the Thunder. I mean, at this point, Vegas, the analysts are all thinking this series is over to really count out Indiana. And I feel like their whole run has been like that, bro. Like, they keep counting them out in every single series. Like, oh, Indiana is not going to close them out early. And this could be a situation where if OKC loses, they could lose in 6 games, and no one could have predicted something like that because it's hard to win in Indiana after a big loss at home for the second time. And I don't think this time around, if we were to lose, I don't think it would be on like a buzzer beater type of situation. So if we were to lose, that means Pacers took this series and we're the better team in terms of the series, and they'd be going home with that type of momentum where they actually won a real game in OKC, which is virtually impossible to even comprehend or think of. I think the core guys that we've had with Shai, Chet, J-Dub, Caruso, we know what they're going to do. They're going to show up. Caruso had a bad game 3. He came out flat. He recognized that. I don't think he does that for the rest of the series because I think he understands how important he is. I think he's really one of the X factors for us. Pascal Siakam has to step up. Fourth quarter, he's practically invisible.
Yeah,
they needed a guy to calm them down, the championship guy, and I think Rick
No.
Carlisle, he's probably going to get an earful from a bunch of Pacers fans and people calling him and being like, yo, you got to run some sets in the post for Pascal, get him some looks, because I feel like that's what they didn't do, and they'll make that adjustment. So I think it's going to be a lot closer. 5-6 point game, two possession game. I don't think the rest of the way, if this goes 6 games, 7 games, either way for the Thunder or the Pacers, every game after this is a 2 possession, close game, 6-7 points, nothing crazy. That's kind of my prediction for this. I think we can win in 2 possessions. The only caveat, rest Shai the way we did, continue to have Caruso get even more ball handling minutes, J-Dub more ball handling minutes. Kaysen needs to step up. As a third level ball handler, currently he's been demoted to that because he hasn't been able to take care of that responsibility. But he needs to come back at home and recognize he's got to get the assists off. Hartenstein has to get the assists off. They've got to help out the guys, not just through the scoring, but the rest of the guys have to start playmaking. Those are the kind of the game plans. And I feel like for Pacers, what they got to do is attack early and hope they can get a quick lead so the Thunder defense can't set up and just kind of wear us out that way. Because I think the longer this series goes, it's also a war of attrition. Rick Carlisle knows that. So the longer they can keep extending this series, the more and more tired our core 5 or 6 guys are going, because that's all we're playing right now. So let's see if the Pacers also look to start shortening their rotation, because it's like,
I doubt it though.
No, but at some point you have to, because when the games are that close, you have to start playing Tyrese closer to. He hasn't played a single game all year, including playoffs, over 40 minutes. Like, he's your best player. At some point, you just got to ride with the guys you trust. And eventually, Rick Carlisle is going to have backs against the wall, especially if he loses this game. In Indiana, I promise you,
he'll be playing deep, heavy minutes.
He'll be playing heavy minutes on his 6 or 7 guys that he thinks can get him to Game 7. And he'll probably have to do that in Game 7 again. So that'd be best case scenario. If we can win tonight, it could put all the pressure on them. I feel like this is just a must-win scenario. You cannot lose on your home court. It'd be demoralizing. Really would for OKC fans for a multitude of reasons. I feel like if the Pacers lose this, they can still go home. They can still extend the series. They're really comfortable at home. Our road players just play, or our players in general just play worse at home or on the road. The guy that I'm looking at, Tyrese Haliburton, has to continue to be aggressive. He hasn't had really, outside of maybe one game, maybe I think that was game 3 or last game, he had over 20 points. No, I think game 3. Outside of that, he hasn't really had a game that was high scoring or anything like that. He needs to, carry them. And I think Shai's going to continue to carry us the rest of the way. He figured something out with the.
Gonna have to, bro.
He figured out the switch off of Nembhard to Naismith, and he'll be doing that in the fourth quarter a lot more. And he favored that a ton. We'll see a lot more guard-to-guard screens with him and J-Dub the further the series goes, because that's our go-to play. If Carlisle has not figured that out, and to be honest, there's no counter to that. There's not a single team in the NBA other than the Celtics that have 2 players that can be guard/wings like Tatum and JB that can step out there and guard that switch. And the Pacers do not have the personnel for that. I don't think.
I'm glad you just said that. Let me ask you this. So you see how they just switch. Why do teams do that? Why don't they do any other coverage on something like that? Why don't they try their hardest to, like, if I was the Pacers, right, and I have Naismith on Shai, and Shai's running as a screener, I'm trying my hardest for Nembhard to stay glued to him and Naismith recover back. Why do they just switch it, pass it off so easy?
The main reason is because just how versatile both the guys are. They're both able. They're both top 10, 15. Obviously, Shai's number 1. I would consider J-Dub a top 10, 15 guy getting downhill, creating rim pressure. Yeah. So it's not so easy as, let's not switch this, because every time there's a miscommunication, the guy that's a ball handler, which is J-Dub in that scenario, when Shai's setting the screen, he's always going to make the right choice. If there's someone helping off the nail, he's going to pass to the corner. If you don't make the switch and you stay on Shai, he's going to drive to the basket for easy layups or floaters. That's probably the best case scenario. Hope Shai goes into the mid, or J-Dub goes into the mid-range and just ends up pulling it up instead of attacking the basket. But that has not been the case. They have done that, where they primarily focus on Shai and J-Dub just free walks into the easy layups. And that's why I'm saying it's the hardest play to cover. I think this is the best duo in the NBA. I don't think there's a better duo from a defense-offense perspective in the NBA. So that Shai J-Dub pick and roll is our go-to bread and butter, and we saw that. And I was waiting for us to pull that play out, and we finally did in the most crucial times. I know Mark loves to save that play. We hadn't seen it up until this point, and I knew we'd see it in the toughest matchup. We saw it a lot more in the Denver series when backs against the wall. We just spammed that play over and over because there's nothing you can do. J-Dub's the primary guy. He's too big, too physical. I think the adjustment they can make is have Pascal on Shai instead of Nembhard. So when the screener does come up, Pascal can definitely step up and guard on J-Dub, but then they would have to play small. They would have to play small with Obi Toppin in the closing lineup, and I don't know if you want to be doing that.
Yeah.
So it creates mismatches. That's the reason. That's probably their best bet. But if I had to choose, the way J-Dub has been frying Pascal all series on both ends, he's locking him up, and then on top of that, he's frying him. So it's like, I'll take that all day. J-Dub in the mid-range against Pascal, or J-Dub going to the rack, he's pretty much unstoppable. And if they do not get, even if they get the switch off and Nembhard ends up on Shai Gilgeous, he'll just hunt. He'll wait an extra 10 seconds and hunt for a different. He'll wave off J-Dub like he normally does. He'll say, all right, I don't like that matchup for us, or I don't like the screening action. Chet, come here. Right. That's how smart this team is, where it's like, we're going to hunt the guy that we want regardless of how you think you can match it up with the pick and roll situation. We don't just have one guy that can, kill you on offense. Shai can kind of just get it with whoever, man. So it's like, that's the benefit of having the best player in the NBA.
So isn't that a credit to Mark, though? Calling that timeout late in game 4. And all right, here we go. Season's basically on the line. This is what I'm running with my season on the line. We're going to get a switch, and we're going to give the ball to our best player on a mismatch, and we're gonna ride or die on him. Yeah.
Every time our back's against the wall, we've seen Mark deploy the best lineup on the court, which is Caruso, J-Dub, Shai, Dort, and whoever they want else out there with those guys. But those guys are going to be out there no matter what. And I think that's kind of just unstoppable. What do you do in a scenario like that, right? Like, you have a unstoppable 5-man lineup. We just out-personnel them in that case. And that's where, when people say better teams end up winning series, and that's usually what happens. In game 1, that did not happen, where, they got the last shot off, and we didn't execute. We didn't take them seriously enough. I felt like we didn't have that focus. But now when we have certain sense of urgency and know the moment, like Shai mentioned in the post-game presser, where they woke up and they knew this is must win, they know this home game is must win. When that's the case, when they're locked in, forget about it. Good luck. Good luck, man.
Now, this is a curveball that I had thought about at the end of game 4. Now, you see how OKC wins that game in the fashion that they won it. They outplayed them in the clutch, blah, blah, blah. Everybody's ecstatic. Oh, my gosh, big sigh of relief. It's 2-2. We're back to heavy favors to winning now that we have home court advantage back. What if Rick Carlisle has this curveball and he takes a page out of the Nuggets playbook and goes zone until you shoot us out of it? What in game 5? I'm talking about game 5 tomorrow night. What is if he sees how bad we shot that game the other day and he goes, okay, We lost. They out-executed us. They found something. How about we're not going to let them get in the lane at all? We're going to make them swing. We're going to make them get middle. We're going to cover up the alley-oops, the hard to Chet alley-oops, or the backdoor cuts from Caruso or Dort, and they're going to have to shoot us out of the zone and prove that they can do it. Your thoughts on that?
I love that question. That's a great question, actually. It's one they kind of mixed in at points in the game for very low amount of minutes because it just didn't work because we ended up shooting them out of it.
Yeah.
But if they just say, hey, this is the game plan for today.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We're doing a boxing one on Shai.
Yep.
And good luck to the shooters if you
play
guys
team ball.
And we'll just play our style of basketball on the other end that we have been. That's a great point. I think the counter to that is double big. You got to run Chet and Hart out there at the same time to get the boards. And I really don't mind having Hartenstein in the middle of a zone, of any type of zone. He's the zone breaker. You just put him in that position. Also, the problem still remains when you're in a zone. Shai's going to break that as well because we're a mid-range shooting team. J-Dub is another guy that can break into the middle. I love when teams actually play zone against us because we don't need to rely on the three-point shot. Yeah, we're going to get shots off, but we're still going to destroy you in the mid-range. I feel like that'd be a problem for them. They'd have to live with us shooting mid-ranges and kick out threes. Obviously, if we make them, we'd probably blow them out, and they get out of the zone quick. If we don't hit them, it'll be a close game regardless. I don't think the problem with facing a team like OKC, there's not really a pinpoint thing that you can do for – you can do it for a quarter. You can do it for maybe a game. We'd make adjustments going into Indiana. If they try to run a zone again, we'd probably have it figured out by then. So Mark would try enough different things within the game if that's all their game plan was, to the point where he would eventually figure out, okay, this is the lineup that works against it. If it didn't work in one game, he'd figure out in the next. But as far as game 5, I think that'd be one of their better strategies. It's like do or die situation, pack the paint against OKC, and just hope they miss. If I was a coach, I wouldn't want – I think Rick Carlisle's too smart to go out like that. I think it'd be a bad look for him to go out like that. I think he wouldn't – he's not a guy that has ever struck me as I'm going to take chances. He likes things in his favor, right? So I don't think he's going to be putting himself in a position where he's going to let the other team just beat him. He wants to beat you his way, his style.
Absolutely.
He's gonna try to change your play style. He's not gonna try to change it in a way where we dictate the kickouts. He's trying to dictate where the kickouts are going and everything. Like,
I know. He wants to go to the same spot. I know.
Yeah, he's a mastermind in terms of like what he's trying to do defensively. So people underrate this Indiana team. They're really well coached, and coaching matters in the NBA, no matter what anyone tells you. So they have an advantage in that spot where they're doing amazing. I don't see them switching up their defensive game plan. They've won 2 games already. Why would you change it up now? You know what works. It'd be really hard to go from their type of play style straight into a zone to make that adjustment, in my opinion, because they don't have the zone type of players. They're not a athletic team that can do that. They also don't have a smart enough big man like a Jokic. Jokic is way better in a zone. Jokic is insane because he has natural offensive instincts. So when you're a great offensive player, you know what other offensive players are thinking. So in a zone, it's easy to make reads. Oh, he's one of the greatest passers in the NBA ever, right? So he knows I would make that pass. Boom, I'm going to cut that lane off. Miles Turner ain't doing that. So I'm not worried about them in a zone because honestly, Shai would eat them alive. So I'd be fine with that. Shai going for 50, breaking up the zone the whole game. Eventually, by halftime, they'd probably call it quits anyways. So I'd be cool with it, man. Mark would figure it out. If not this game, next game. So either way, in the fourth quarter, what it's going to come down to is shot making in the isolation. And we have the 2 greatest isolation scorers in J-Dub and Shai as a duo. And just in general, J-Dub's like a top 15 isolation scorer in the NBA right now.
Right.
Along with Shai. Shai's number 1. So it's like, good luck. Good luck. You don't have enough defensive pieces. We figured that out. They don't have enough defensive pieces. After either Naismith or Nembhard throughout the game being aggressive, getting foul trouble, who else do you send out there? They don't have anybody else. That was the problem they ran into last game too. I feel like they're running into that this game if they're not careful. They need to be less aggressive. Like the aggressiveness helps them in the sense. No, yes, I've been saying this all series. The aggressiveness actually doesn't help them because their two greatest guys on our wings, like Shai and J-Dub, they need to stay out of foul trouble, to be honest. They need to be preserved by Rick Carlisle, in my opinion. Anytime they pick up fouls and they're getting into late foul trouble, like he keeps letting them get into 3 or 4 fouls heading into the fourth. Like if you keep letting that happen, you're not going to have anyone out in the perimeter. And that's what they had. They had to put Mathurin out there because someone's in foul trouble. Like that's the type of scenarios you put yourself into. So if they want to win, you have to play less aggressive and just hope Shai misses. Literally, all you can do is put your hands together and pray. Because if you start playing aggressive with him, he's going to get foul calls because he's too smart for that. And that's all you can do. It's like guarding Damian Lillard. If you remember that one series.
Oh.
In the bubble. He had Austin Rivers literally praying.
Like,
yeah, that's the type of scoring that Shai has. So it's like all you can do, you know what Shai's going to give you. Regardless of the best you can do is hope they don't call fouls on you and you're aggressive throughout the game. But if you have a certain type of coaching where it's being called both ways, like last game, like there was over 70 fouls both ways, across both teams, right? If that's the type of style that runs in game 5, then you have to adjust. They didn't adjust last game, and Shai took advantage of that. It's like, oh, they're calling soft calls, and I'm really good at getting them. I'm going to play into that. And when that's not the case, he's still going to get his stuff off. The crazy thing is people think he's going to drop off without free throws. Like, brother, he's the greatest scorer in the league right now. He just won a scoring champion. Without free throws, he still leads the league. Like, in scoring. There's nothing stopping him. There's nothing stopping him. So it's like, they have a couple opportunities and chances, but there's not many, man. It's starting to get slimmer and slimmer, especially with Mark figuring them out more and more. So I definitely have us winning. I'm more excited about the game than I was 4 nights ago or something. But after that was giving me 2012 nightmares, man. I just wanted to see us get over the hump and get, this team, this core. Can I tell y'all a crazy thing? This team, J-Dub, Chet, and Shai, have won more finals games than Russell Westbrook, James Harden, and Kevin Durant. Yeah. I'm saying that out loud. I thought I would never say those words about any.
They technically took us farther or got farther, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. That's one more win.
About that earlier.
But that's what I was worried about. I was like, we may not even get another win. I was scared for my life. And we got it, and I'm happy now. I'm like, all right, we're good. We
they played terrible.
But for me, the reason I was freaking out, it's like that invisible hump. Until you cross over it, you feel worried about it. But when you cross over, it's like,
big sigh of relief.
You see how I'm talking now. It's like, we're good now. We're chilling. We got that extra win we needed. And I feel like that's how they're feeling too, though. Like they should be feeling the same way. Like,
because it's 2-2. They got the one in Oklahoma.
Yeah, exactly. They get to go back to home. They already got.
Regardless of what happens, they have one more home game now. Exactly.
It makes you feel a lot better of like, not just the home game, but it's like, we already did better than any other Oklahoma team ever. So they've accomplished at least that, but obviously they're trying to get a championship. They're not looking at one extra win. They said that all 3 of the players in their post-game interview were like, job's not done. That was their message. All 3 of them. And I love that. So I think they're going to come out with urgency. When guys come out with urgency, when OKC comes out with urgency early, we should win every single time when they're locked in. The other guy I'm looking at that I hope shows up to the party, we need Kaysen, Wiggins.
100%. The role players.
Hartenstein needs to step up a little bit more as well. The scoring, he's been missing his floater a little bit here and there. I mean, he's been fantastic overall in terms of energy and effort. He always gives that. So does all the guys. But I'd love, just some more shot making to get the pressure off of the core 4 guys that have always competed. The other X factor that I'll say is this is a question to you. What if they say, go ahead, Shai, we'll let you score 50, but we're double teaming, we're shadowing J-Dub this game. What you think about that? I think that's a Rick Carlisle game plan.
Yeah, but I don't. So okay, so you're saying,
because Shai's getting his 30 regardless. If they haven't figured that out,
so
if they haven't figured that out, it's like good luck, bro.
Yeah, but are you sure you want to let Shai cook like that? I'm not so sure that's a better game plan.
I think at least to change up the game, because when you're in the finals, you have to throw different things and figure out if they stick. And this is the one thing they haven't done. They've been pressing Shai all series in terms of having guys shadowing him and everything. Like, obviously, they play a lot of single coverage, but they usually have another guy waiting for him. They don't wait on J-Dub, and J-Dub's the one scoring 27 in the last game. That's kind of the thing that's crazy to me.
Yeah, what I would do, bro, if I was Rick Carlisle and I had to go up against him, I'm putting, it don't matter really who you put on Shai, I'm sagging off of him at like almost like a little in front of the free throw line. Mm-hmm. I'm playing tight on everybody else. And if they want to do back cuts and flare screens and, give and goes, they're going to have to do that. Turn Shai into a passer. I'm going to say, all right, Shai, here you go. You're on an island all game if you want it. Mm-hmm. To either shoot OKC out of the game, or you're gonna have to dice us up passing. If a back cut's open, you're gonna have to make the back cut every time. If a flare screen's open, you're gonna have to make that play every time, or you're gonna have to shoot. Nobody else is gonna get the chance to get off. If it was me, but I think they should throw a curveball and run zone all game until they shoot them out of it. Yeah, I don't know though. I don't think he's gonna do it. I agree with your point.
Yeah, I don't think he's a guy that.
I don't think he's going to do that.
He doesn't take chances like that. He knows what his game plan. He's a process. He's an old school coach. He's a process type of guy. He talks about process in every single timeout that he takes with his guys. He's like, this is how we win. We either live and die by it, and he's got the guys believing in it. So I think they're going to continue to just stick with their offensive and defensive game plan, and I think they realistically believe they're better than us, and they can beat us.
Because they can.
They have beaten us at home once. So it's like, I can see them going out with that same energy against OKC in Game 5. And I think OKC has realized they're a 48-minute team. And you mess up 1 minute, it's pretty much over for you. You can't mess up a single minute. Every single possession, every single second, every single minute counts. The other X factor that we haven't mentioned and talked about, two of them, TJ McConnell, Mathurin. If somehow he can get another Mathurin explosion, he's really good at game planning. And he got Mathurin open looks in the previous game, got him to the line. He got in his ear and did whatever and, got him to score. And he puts his players in the right positions. And the other guy, the game after that, TJ McConnell shows up. And
that really can't happen again, man.
Yeah, I think the TJ McConnell thing is crazy. That can't happen because he was mad quiet the last game. So it's really coming down to the nitty-gritty role players, like who really wants it more. And it has to be every single person that gets onto the court for both teams has to realize the moment. And anyone not realizing the moment for both teams, both coaches have to realize, like, very quickly when a guy goes on the floor, if they're not ready and they're not hitting shots and they're not playing the correct way, like last game, I felt like, there's certain guys, especially going into the fourth, them all game and they haven't done it.
Yeah,
you pull them, and Mark did that. I feel like Rick Carlisle still rode some of those guys where
he did.
Like Mathurin was messing up.
He was.
I trust you, and I think the further this goes, both of them have to have that mentality of like 6 or 7 guys take us home, and we're going to ride with the guys that we know that are going to show up. So, and I think we have more guys that show up, in my opinion, more consistently. And so
absolutely.
That's why I think we'll win the series. So,
and again, role players play better at home than they do on the road. So OKC has that going in their favor.
Yeah, if Isaiah Joe just gets one shot in and gets 10 extra minutes from Mark, you never know.
He could
You never
literally
know.
break
In
the
a
game.
10-minute span, he can hit a bunch of threes. He can get 5 threes off easily. And if he makes all of them in a span like that where he gets minutes, that'd be great. Some consistent minutes, like play him a whole 8 minutes or something, man. Like no more 2 minutes in, 2 minutes out.
Spurts. I don't like that.
The spurts is like he'll hit 2, you bench him, and then he comes back in and misses the next 2. It's like, come on, bro.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to have that as well. But I think we're gonna be fine. This is a nice little quick 30-minute preview. Hope you guys enjoy. We'll both be live on playback, by the way, so y'all can join us over there.
Come check that out.
Come check that out. It's our handle. Of course, you can find us. And on top of that, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace out.